Hi, and welcome to my workshop on the importance role of your buyer persona in your overall marketing plan. So first, a little bit about me. I'm Clare-Marie Taylor. I'm co-founder of ThinkSMART Marketing, marketing consultancy company, and we work with our clients mainly around they're getting their brand strategy, their marketing strategy in place, understanding who the target customer is, and understanding their key messages. Myself, I'm fellow of the Chartered Institute of Marketing, and I've had more than 20 years experience working on consumer brands. That's business to consumer. So a lot of what I do is around understanding who your customer is and the importance of understanding your customer. Really, when you create a product or service, you should understand and know who your customer is and have that in mind in all of the marketing that you create. There's 10 questions you should be asking yourself in terms of determining who your target customer is. And I'm going to take you through each one of those questions now and talking about why each question is really important. So the first question is, what are the target demographics of your customer? So what age are they? Are they male? Are they female? What's their marital status? Who are these people that you're reaching out to? And you should have a really good understanding of who that is before you start out creating your product and your service. It's so important to invest that time up front doing your customer research, and your customer research must be with the right target customer. Where do they live? So do they live in the country? Do they live in the town? Find out a little bit more about them, about their interests. Which industry do they work in? What job do they have? This might be more relevant when you're looking at business to business marketing, but it also works for business to consumer marketing. It's also really important to build that picture up of who they are. What do they do in their day? What's their work profile as well as their home profile? Question 4. What is their spending power? When you're looking at positioning your product or your service, you need to understand how much your target customer can afford. What's their positioning? Are you targeting the high end? Are you targeting mid-market? Or are you targeting the lower value area? You need to understand what is the spending power of your target customer so that you know that you've got the right price positioning, you've got that sweet point for the customer. What are their hobbies and interests? We talked about the demographics, about where they live. So what else are they into? What sports do they do? Do they do exercise? Are they interested in well-being? Do they like cars? Do they like shopping? Do they like going out and eating? Do they like socializing with their friends? What are their interests? So how else can you build up a relationship and engagement with your target customer? Because remember, in your messaging, it's not always about your brand, who you are and what you do. It's also being able to tap into those other areas that your target customer is interested in. So how can you talk to them as well about other things that will engage them and will add value to them? Question 6, how do they get their information? This is really important when building the marketing plan. So where are you going to place your marketing messages? If you don't know where they're hanging out, then you won't be able to reach them. And if you're putting marketing in the wrong places, then you're not going to see a return on your investment. So on social media, what channels are they going to be on? If it's a business to business campaign, you'd be better off on LinkedIn. If it's more social, then obviously Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, all to name but a few of those channels that are now out there on social media. But it's important to understand who you're talking to and where they hang out. Also, do they read specific magazines? Is it a trade sector that you want to go in? Trade magazines. Are there consumer titles? So you may be a fitness and well-being brand. So what are the fitness titles and magazines that your target audience is going to read around? And then Google. What words are they going to be putting into search to find your brand, your product and your services? It's really important to understand how your target customer is going to approach you. What things are they going to think about when they're putting in those searches? And then you put your spending power behind those channels that are going to convert your target customer, where you know where they're hanging out and where you can reach them with engaging content. Question 7, what's important to them? Again, this is really important in terms of your messaging, because if you don't understand what their values are, what their attitudes, their thoughts, their behaviours, or their cultural differences are, then it's very difficult to engage with them. What's important to them in terms of their values? Do they want to know your story, your authenticity, why you do what you do, why you have passion for what you do? And also, you know, there might be consumers that are really focused on sustainability. So make sure your messaging is around sustainability and you're tapping into their thought processes. Their culture, there's several variances in different cultures, different countries. Make sure you understand those cultures and those thoughts and those values, because it will really help you when you're talking to them, engaging with them and targeting them as your customer. Question 8, who's important to them? So this is all really about, you know, peer groups, influencers, social proof, reviews. Now it's so much more important in our marketing to focus on those peer and social proofs. This is where we turn to. We turn to our peers, our community groups, and ask them whether they think this brand or this product or this service can actually do what that brand is telling us they can do. And also influencer marketing is massive now. You know, if you work out who the right influencers are, who your target customer is engaged with, who they respect, who they look up to, then that's so important for your influencer marketing. So really have a think, and by doing the earlier questions around what their interests are, what their demographics are, you'll have a better understanding of who their peers are and who their influencers are. Question 9, what challenges do they currently face? So this is in your research. I was mentioned before about doing that customer research. Make sure you're asking the right questions. You're putting the product or service to them, asking for their feedback, asking if that resolves what they're looking for, asking if that brand or your values or your messaging is right for them, and understanding why they would want your products and service. Does it answer an issue or a challenge that they're dealing with? So those become their pain points. So what have they experienced with similar brands, products and services that have frustrated them? How can you demonstrate that you can overcome that? How can you demonstrate that you're better than your competitors and those other products and services? And finally, number 10, how can your product and service solve those challenges for your target customer? Again, this has got to come from your customer research, understanding what those challenges are, and then developing your key messages that answer those pain points. So if you have an understanding of what they're looking for from your products and service, you can make sure that your messaging stands through, it answers those pain points and really engages with that target customer. What we do at ThinkSMART Marketing is we take all that information, all the answers to those questions, and we build a customer profile. Here's an example of one that we've done for a client of ours. This was an accountancy firm, and they were looking at supporting growth businesses. So we built up a picture of who that target customer was. We built that buyer persona, and we looked at his age, who was he, what was his demographics, he was married with 2 children, what kind of car did he drive, where did he live, where did he shop, what did he want to do at his weekends. There we built up that picture of that target customer, that buyer, and we also named him as well, so that going forward in our marketing we could talk about him and talk about the messages and why this would appeal to Sylvester, or we need to do this marketing to reach him, reach Sylvester, this will engage Sylvester, and what would Sylvester think of this product, or what would Sylvester think of this service. And we could really stand in our customer's shoes and understand from his perspective what he wanted and look at his pain points. So what had been his frustrations previously with the accountancy firm that he'd been working with, and what did he want from his new company, and then we could develop the key messages that would engage with the pain that he was feeling. And then looking at the channels, the social media channels that we could reach him on. So why are your key messages so important? So once we've done all the step one, which is about understanding who your customer is, you then need to develop your key messages that reach out and engage with your target customer. And your key messages are really developed from those pain points. So when you've done that customer research with your target customer group, you understand the challenges that they're facing, you can then look at developing those key messages that are going to engage and are going to resonate with them. We call it your value proposition. So what is it that you're going to do for them over and above your competitors? Is there a USP in there? Is there something that you can uniquely offer your target customer that your other competitors can't? This is such an important step in terms of your marketing, to really understand what those messages are and be able to articulate them effectively to your target customer. Step 3 is your brand consistency. So once you've, step 1, understood who your customer is, step 2, developed your key messages, step 3 is about creating that brand. It's about being consistent with those messaging. So if it's your story, you're consistent with how you position yourselves as a business, who you are and what you do, and you're consistent with that message. When you've developed the visual identity of your brand, you make sure that that is consistent everywhere that your target customer sees it. There is a consistent image, look and feel to your brand, whether that's colours, logo, tone of voice. It all has to be consistent in everything you do across every platform, be that social media, website, emails, advertising, PR, whatever it is, it all needs to be consistent. And so as well as your messaging and your brand and your visual identity, you need to convey all those values. So what are the values of your business? And those values need to have been built up from doing that earlier stage in step 1 of understanding the values that your customer wants to see. And when you have those set of values, you need to live and breathe by them. Everything you do has to be against those values so that your brand as well is believable, your brand is authentic, and there's always consistency across the marketing and the brand activity that you do. And from that stage, the final stage is building your marketing plan. So now you've understood your customer, you've understood what their challenges are, what the messaging needs to be, and you've developed your brand, your positioning, and your consistency. You then need to build your plan of the marketing activity that you're going to do across those channels that you have decided upon, which have been determined previously in step 1, because you've done that research into where your target customers are, so you know where you need to be putting your money behind, and you know the messages that you need to be using in that plan. So the main reasons of developing a marketing plan, and you may fall into one of these or a couple of these, are the first one is you need to drive new leads into your business. And we've seen it over the past 6 months to a year, really a big focus of existing businesses have been to drive those new leads. We've all found it very challenging during this COVID pandemic to drive those new leads, and it's never been more important. So we have been doing a lot of work with our clients in terms of driving new business and new leads into their business. Also, the second one is to launch a new product or service. So either you're a startup, you're starting out and you need a marketing plan to launch your brand and your product, or your brand and your service, or you're an existing business that needs to diversify, or you want to bring in a new product or service into your range. And the third way is to re-engage with your existing customers or your network. It's so important to keep engagement with your existing customers. They are the ambassadors of your brand. They will do a marketing job for you without you needing to try, because they will go out there and talk about your brand, how great it is, how great your product and your service is to other people. And they will naturally drive new leads into your business. So having a marketing plan that re-engages with your existing network can be really successful. And we always say at ThinkSMART there are 6 superheroes in any marketing plan. So I'm going to take you through those 6 superheroes and give you just a little bit of explanation against each superhero. So the first one is awareness. Awareness is so important. If someone isn't aware of your brand, you're just not going to be on their shopping list. So developing awareness and driving awareness with your target customer should always be the first action of any marketing plan. And things that will drive awareness are around social media, PR, advertising, things that get your brand out there, influencer marketing, anything around getting your brand in front of your target customer. Second area to any marketing plan is around interest. So they've heard about you, they know of your brand, and they want to find out more information about you. So this will be driven, again, by social media, be driven by your website. Your website is a really important part in the interest. So making sure your copy is always up to date, making sure your brand is consistent, making sure those key messages are really clear on your website, and also making sure you're using the right keywords so that your brand and your product and your service are being found by your target customer. The third one of any marketing plan is evaluation. So your customer is aware of you, they've found out more about you, and now they want to know if you're as good as you say you are. And this is all around the peer reviews, the social proof, the accredited reviews that you can use on your website. So what is everyone saying about your brand, your product and your service? Are you as good as what you say you are? The fourth stage is where it's trial. So this is, they know about you, they've found out more about you, they know you're as good as you say you are. How can we nudge them over to becoming a customer? Is there a carrot that we can dangle to get them across the line? If it's a consumer brand, is it an offer? Is it a percentage off? If it's a business-to-business brand, is there a download document or a guide to or a crib sheet that would show your target customer the value that you can add to them, which would nudge them over to becoming a customer of yours? And this is when, whoa, they become a customer. We adopt them as a customer. Fantastic. But how do you reward them for coming on board? So if it's a business to business, is there a welcome pack? Is there a thank you card? Is there a cookie in the post? Thank you so much for choosing us as a brand. If it's a consumer brand, if it's a product or a service, how does the product get to the customer? What's the packaging like? Is there a thank you in there? Is there a reward for them to come back again and buy from you? Is there a refer a friend? So many ideas in there that you can have in terms of adoption. And often it's an area that just gets overlooked. You have invested so much in the first 4 stages of this marketing plan. You need to reward and thank the customer for deciding to go with you, because it's a competitive marketplace out there. The customer has so much choice, and the fact that they choose your brand, your product and your service needs to be recognised and needs to be thanked. The last and final step to the marketing plan is around loyalty. So now you have this wonderful customer and they're really happy with what you're doing. You then need to keep them engaged with your brand, because it's much easier to retain your existing customers than it is to go out there and get more customers. So it's about newsletters. It's about offering a percentage for them to come back to you and buy from you again. It's about building that loyalty. It's about talking with them, telling them about what you have in your range, telling them when you add new products and services, keeping that dialogue going, keeping them engaged and keeping them on board. And remember what I said as well about the fact that your existing customers are your best ambassadors. They will go out and tell everyone else about what a fantastic experience they've had with your brand and your product and your service. They will be the ambassadors of your brand. Loyalty is a really important stage on the journey for your customer, and often it's a stage that's overlooked. We invest so much time in driving new customers into our business, we often neglect the existing customers that we have, and that is really important not to do so. And a little quote that I always like, in a summary really of what a marketeer does, is the job of a marketeer is to understand how the customer wants to buy and help them to do so. Make it as easy as possible for your target customer to find you, engage with you, buy from you, and stay with you. If you do that, you will have success in your business, your product, and your service. And finally, step 5 is when you have that marketing plan in place, it's really important to measure the activity that you're doing and make sure that it's working for you. Make sure that you're reviewing email campaigns, you're looking at open rates, click-through rates, conversion rates, looking at your website. Are you driving the people to the right pages? Look at your social media. Is that performing for you? Make sure you look at every step in that marketing plan and measure it, because that's where you'll get your information. That's where you'll know whether you're doing the right things, and you can do more of the right things to drive the right results in your business. And finally, I guess if any of you have questions, I'm here now live for you to ask those questions of me.